Hello and welcome to When They Popped. I'm Kelsey.
And I'm Mary, and today we are so excited to welcome back a true pop culture icon. Our guest burst onto the scene in 2001 with her top 40 hit, I Wanna Be Bad, and has had an incredible journey spanning music, film, television, modeling, and interior design. From competing on Dancing with the Stars to starring in Friday the 13th and showcasing her design work on Flip It Like Disick, she's done it all. Now, after more than 2 decades, she's back with her most personal work yet. Her new album, Amanda, just dropped on March 6th, and it's a brave reclaiming of a dream nearly destroyed, a powerful story of trauma, healing, and finding her voice again. Willa Ford, welcome to When They Popped.
Thank you. I'm like, wow, have I had that many jobs? Yes, I have.
Yes,
She
you
is
have.
the queen of everything. Well, to start us off, Willa, we thought it would be fun to play a little game of this or that. And we are calling this one Battle of the Bads in honor of 25 years of I Wanna Be Bad. We picked some of our favorite other songs that have bad in the title.
Love.
So we'll ask you to pick your favorite, just rapid fire style, whatever comes to mind.
Okay.
Let's do it. Our first one is Good Girls Go Bad by Cobra Starship featuring Leighton Meester versus Bad Romance, Lady Gaga.
A Bad Romance, Lady Gaga.
Classic.
Duh.
I thought that would be a harder one, but I love that
No.
you're like, I know, my bads.
Gaga all day. Yeah.
All right, let's switch it up to You Got It Bad by Usher or Bad Day by Daniel Powter.
Ooh, it's Usher.
I agree.
I was obsessed with him. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Who isn't? All these years later. All right, the next one is Bad Blood, Taylor Swift, or Bad at Love, Halsey.
Oh, no. Okay. I'm obsessed with Halsey's voice. I have to be honest. Like, I love Taylor. Like, all hail the queen. But, like, Halsey's voice on Bad with Love, like, yes, Halsey. Only because, like, Taylor, she knows she's, like, everything. But Halsey, I really enjoy her vocals. Yeah.
I think that's a great out-of-pocket choice. Completely agree. She has a stunning voice.
It's
All right.
ridiculous. Yeah. Her and Ellie Goulding, those voices are like, ooh.
Ellie Goulding like scratches an itch for me. I completely agree.
Agreed.
Next one. All right, different direction again. Bad Habits, Ed Sheeran, or Bad Guy, Billie Eilish.
Oh, no. Okay. Okay. It would be Ed Sheeran for my son because he loves that song. But I love Billie because she brought soft vocals to pop radio when I didn't think that anybody would listen to them. And she's brilliant because she single-handedly did that. And now we have a ton of artists that are breathy and soft now. So I'm sorry, I'm picking artists. It's not good. It's not good.
No, it's this or that. It's whatever you're feeling. You're feeling this, you're feeling that. Exactly. Okay, well, this one is kind of a funny one and a throwback. Well, we have Bad, of course, by Michael Jackson because we couldn't not include Bad by Michael Jackson versus The Bad Touch by Bloodhound Gang. Do you remember that one?
Oh my God, sing it for me.
You and me, baby, ain't nothing but mammals, so let's do it like they do.
Oh my gosh. Can I do a different this or that?
Yes, please.
Bad Girls.
Bad Girls. Okay, so that one versus Michael Jackson, Bad. Which would you
it's
pick?
Donna Summer, Bad Girls.
Love it.
Yeah.
Classic.
Taste.
Classic. Well, now that we're warmed up and we've got our baddies out of the way, let's start with the beginning, Willa. You're a classically trained opera singer, we read. You started singing at age 8 with the Tampa Bay Children's Choir.
Yeah.
Tell us, what made you fall in love with music and performing?
I mean, my mom and my dad were both great singers. My dad was in a rock band before I was born. My mom was a vocal and piano major in college before she got pregnant with my sister. My mom's a classical pianist. And so I was surrounded by music and 3-part harmonies in the car. I had sisters that were 16 when I was 6. So I got to listen to what I think is one of the greatest decades of music ever. I know people don't believe this, the 80s. For pop music, the 80s, you know? And so melodically, it just was different. Then the synthesizer was born and changed the game, and pop music never was the same. So I do think that being born in that time, you know, pop just was so big and so beautiful. And I would watch MTV. I know your kids should not watch MTV. I would watch MTV Spring Breaks. And I would watch Cyndi Lauper. I'll never forget. I saw Girls Just Want to Have Fun. I went, I cut my hair. My mom had to put me in a boy cut after that. I cut my hair and I wanted to be her. And I knew at 5, I'm going to do that. That's what I'm going to do. So I knew. Cut to, I'm 8. my mom puts me in the Tampa Bay Children's Choir because I was actually having a speech impediment. And she knew from being a vocal major that actually that's something that could be helped through vocal techniques. So she's put me into the choir. So that's when I started singing a little more classically trained, and then also singing in 4 or 5 parts with the choir, and really started to hone in on Latin and all kinds of fun languages. And I just started enjoying that for my ear. Then at 11, I switched gears. I left the Tampa Bay Children's Choir. I went into a singing and dancing performing ensemble. There's some other names that people know that have like come out of that, I think, in Tampa. But that was like boot camp. I was there till I was 16. I was there for a very long time. Best training a person could have in their life for music was through this group. But while I was in that group, I also got accepted into this program, and I studied at USF with the professors, and I was classically trained from the age of 12 to 16 because they thought I was a soprano and that's what I should do, which is hilarious because if you listen to me, I actually am naturally raspy. So you can imagine a naturally raspy kid, but I had a high range, and then trying to get rid of all the rasp. Didn't make a lot of sense, but I did. And that was great training, brilliant training. But I got bored at 16, and they're like, you can't talk on the phone. Like, this would be straining your vocals trying to talk too loud, just different things like that. And I was like, I don't want to stand in a black dress in front of an orchestra. I want to do pop music. Hence, Usher was crushing it. Aaliyah was crushing it. I was like, I'm sorry, I want to do this. So I really enjoyed it that moment. 16, 17, I was obsessed with anything R&B. And I listened to the old stuff and the new stuff. So I just studied riffs, and I loved all that stuff and all these like really interesting Jam and Lewis techniques with Janet. I thought were so cool. Those harmonies. Again, what always stuck out to me was harmonies, and I loved that sound. So that's a little bit of the journey from the beginning. And then I was just discovered at a show, and somebody threw up a SkyTel and said, sing into the phone. They flipped the phone open. Yes, they were flipped. Nostalgia. Flip that phone open, sing. I sang Whitney Houston, One Moment in Time. They said, put her on a plane to LA. My grandparents actually bought my plane ticket because it was expensive. My grandparents paid for my plane ticket to Los Angeles, met Magic Johnson, who was on the other side, which is full tilt funny because now I'm married into sports, which is hilarious. But he was doing music, managing. He took me to Jay Boberg's office, no demo, sang. I sang live, and they said, want to sign her. But by the way, behind the scenes, I had been in the studio and working and trying. None of it was happening. I just sang live, got the deal. They waited for me to turn 18. And that's my deal with MCA.
Oh my God. You lived like 1,000 lives in your young life, I feel like.
Yeah.
Well, part of your, persona, right, was your stage name and trying to break out because we had Mandy Moore, Brittany, Christina. And we read that you originally went by Manda, but then you changed it to Willa Ford to avoid some of that confusion. Where did that come in with all of this in your, trajectory?
Yeah. So my mom would always call me Manda when I was in trouble. Like, people know this is like the funny thing. And then I threw an H because I thought it was cool. Don't ask me why. I thought it was cool at the time. But I was under MCA as Manda and writing my record. I wanted to write the record. Most of the girls, they didn't. So it was like, get the songs, make a record, put them out. So during that time, Mandy Moore signed to Epic and got put out. I was still in the pipeline creating music. So now it's like, this is too close. This is too confusing. And so we just decided to take my last name and sort of split it in two. And I've always felt really good about that because I also think like I have incredible parents, and I think the Willa Ford name is beautiful, and I love to carry that tradition from my father. I think it's so cool. So Willa Ford. And there was no Willis that we knew at the time. There was like one writer, and Ford is such a classic American name. I feel like I should have been probably singing country music with that name, but it's all good. But yeah, I mean, everybody thought I was Lita Ford's daughter for the longest time. I was like, that's super cool, but no. And they, like, literally, they just thought it. And I was like, no, my dad's a farmer. And yeah, no, my mom, no. My mom works at the farm. But that's a really good idea. I think, it made sense, but I'm not Lita Ford related at all.
So in 1999, just continuing on your trajectory here, you were signed by MCA Records. Then you moved to Atlantic. You were on the Pokemon movie soundtrack. That's a big deal.
That's why I was still at MCA. And that's why Manda was ever published. It's the only thing that was ever published under Manda because Mandy hadn't come out yet. So Manda went under MCA Records, released on Pokemon, which is funny. I have the like double platinum, thing. And I was like, hey, Elijah, do you want to put this in your RAM? He's like, what is it? I'm like, cool. They have no idea what these things are. That was the only thing released under Manta. And then from then on out, we had to be Willa.
Then we were Willa. And by 2000, you were opening for Backstreet Boys on the hottest tour of the entire millennium, to this day, Millennium Tour.
Yeah.
I mean, what was it like getting that call that you would be opening for the biggest tour of the year?
It was a lot, especially when you found out that the stage was in the round and there's 5 of them. There's 1 of me. So, I should have probably trained for a marathon before I did it, because you had to run from, one side. Otherwise, people didn't get to see you. So, you had to run from one side to the next and still be dancing. And it was a great tour. I think it was a good, soft, open. It was I think I dyed my hair brown at the time because I was out and there was just so many blondes. And it was a time when everybody's like, well, you look like. But, if you just look at our faces, none of us look anything like Christina, Brittany, Mandy, Jessica. We don't even look like sisters, much less look alike. We maybe could be far cousins, maybe me and one of them. You know what I mean? But Christina Aguilera, she's Spanish. What are we doing here? But that was what people thought. So it was I'm going to dye my hair brown. I'm going to look different.
Differentiate myself.
It was brown and crimped or something. I don't know. So many regrets. So many regrets. Oh,
that was the look though. I can't tell you how much Mary and I looked up to you and your fashion and your style. Get me a crimper tomorrow. And as brunettes, we appreciated seeing some representation in the pop girlies.
The worst part is though, my blonde, I have blonder roots would come out. So it's the reverse is it was not my color, I have to say. I did red for a while. That was good. But yeah, the brown was not my deal. Yeah.
So funny. Well, I don't know if you're aware of this, but Mary and I were at Sphere for Backstreet Boys on opening night, and they have all this throwback Millennium Tour behind the scenes footage on the Sphere walls. And we saw a familiar face on the screen, and it was yours. Are you aware that you are on the Sphere screen?
No. Oh, God.
It's so iconic. No, you look amazing, Willow. We were like, oh my God, that's Willa Ford. And everyone got so excited. And we started singing, I Want to Be Bad in the Pit, waiting for the show to start. So your impact.
That's very sweet. Very sweet. No, I did not know that.
Well, let's talk about your debut album, Willa Was Here. Tell us about the process of making this album.
Yeah, I went on a 2-year writing tour with NCA Records at the time. And I think the more I wrote with people, the more the writer's feedback was, she's a great writer, so you should let her write a record, which was fun. And in that time, I got to write with so many incredible writers and just learn under them. Some I really meshed well with. Others, it was kind of I don't really want to do it again with them. You can tell it's just friendships or relationships. They just work or they don't. And so that was for 2 years. KNS had wrote a song that I did not write called Somebody Take the Pain Away that I loved, by the way. And I had to fight tooth and nail to get it out of Jive Records' claws. And so I was able to. And I cut it. And then I said, I want to write too. So they said, great. We wrote I Want to Be Bad in Josh's basement. And we recorded it in his little closet at the basement. And we knew we had something special right away when we wrote it. And we were just trying to come up with the antithesis of I was just very comfortable in my sexuality already. I also wasn't 18 on the scene. I was 20 coming on the scene. So I was 18 when I started this writing process, but I was 20. I had already been gone from home since I was 17, really. So I wasn't necessarily promiscuous as it insinuated, but I was definitely I'm from Tampa, y'all, okay? And I can tell you, that's dochi, you know what I mean? Or my neck, my back, you know what, and my Tampa. We're just we're built different. We're just built different, and girls from Tampa. So I think that I Want to Be Bad was really successful in Tampa because it's clearly the Tampa girl anthem. But I enjoyed, making that song, and then it had a bridge added that sucked, and then we managed to get it out. The writer's really great, Andrew, but the bridge was weird, and tried to make it poppy because they wanted more poppy, and we got it out. So thank God it was a hit song, which was so cool. Still crazy to this day that happened like it did.
And we read in a recent interview that you did this song, I Want to Be Bad, partially as an act of rebellion against the label. Were they really trying to push you in a certain direction?
MCA didn't know what to do with me. There were so many variables in the whole thing. One was there was already this PR nightmare of hate from women because I had dated someone. And then there was she should die. It was just weird. It was female hormones were really out to play, And so I just fell at the sword of the female hormone and it sucked. So there was that piece. And I think that was also a little bit about like that bad, like, fine, you think I'm this person, I'm going to be this person, you know? And so I think there was a point when they tried to turn it to I Want to Be Glad. That was the joke. I told it on page 6. And it was a true story about them. Like, it's just a racy. They were British. And I'm like, I think that that's a really big mistake. So anyways, I held on to I Want to Be Bad. My attorney played it for Jason Flom at Lava Atlantic. And he bought me out of my deal. And then within 6 months of him buying me out of my deal, it was released, music video, the whole bit. Yeah. So I was held for quite some time. I was very nearly a shelved artist, if I'm being honest. If Jason Flom wouldn't have heard the hit in that record and understood the like star power of what we were about to do, because we didn't even have video yet, he just saw it and he heard the song and he's like, this is a no-brainer for me. Otherwise, I actually think that MCA Records would have just shelved me. I don't think I would have ever come out. Nah.
Well, thank God he had
Thank
the
you,
ear
Jason
for the
Flom.
hit.
Yeah.
Yes, seriously. My gosh. You were talking about what you were going through during this time, what was going on. I mean, the early 2000s had such a like specific mold for pop stars, like especially women. You know, you talked about dyeing your hair and crimping, you know, trying to do something to differentiate.
To make yourself different. Yeah.
Yes.
And you couldn't. It didn't matter what you did to differentiate yourself. At the end of the day, you were within 2 years of each other age-wise. You were Caucasian because that was what we pretty much all looked like. Even if you were Aguilera, they played into your Caucasian because we know how that works. And we all were making pop records, which I get it. It's really easy to get confused, you know, if you're not knee deep in it. Yeah, if you guys are serious fans, you know there's a huge difference.
Yeah.
You could hear one of us sing and be like, well, Christina doesn't sound like Jessica, who doesn't sound like me, who doesn't sound like... I remember one day Jessica was so sweet. She came off stage one day, was like, or I had just come off stage at something, and she was like, I really like your voice. It was like really nice. And I was like, thank you. Like, I really like it. She's like, no, like the quality of your voice is really cool. And I was like, thank you. It was just really kind. But it was true. Like, we all had very different voices. And so when you would hear us live, you'd be like, oh, yeah. Because not everybody did always sing live, which we know. But Jessica actually did. Christina always did. And I did. So, yeah, I think it's one of those things that the media and how the machine was pushing us was one way. And there was no way we were going to be seen differently.
Did you feel pressure to kind of conform to that mold, or were you always kind of fighting to...
No, there was pressure, but I didn't feel any pressure to be any certain way. Jason Flom didn't run that game. Like, I created the whole music video concept for Bad. I was like, everybody's doing midriffs. We don't do any midriffs. We give them leg and booty, you know? And
Ooh.
I also was watching, you know, MTV, and I'm like, why are all these women half like naked in like guys' videos? But like, why aren't the women allowed to be in that for their videos? Like, why can't I own that? And so that was my standpoint on it. I was like, I want to be a badass, but like, I'm the front. So no, I didn't feel any pressure to conform. I think there was like a very specific formula though, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, we had magazines at that time that were very specific. We had music channels, and the only way you got your music out was radio. So you had to do the radio shows. So the formula was the same for all of us. We all worked the same sort of hours.
Yeah.
And they were insane. I mean, mental health definitely didn't go well for a lot of people at that time because it was just a 24/7, you know, there just wasn't a lot of time to shut it down. And then how do you bounce out of like that from like a chemical balance to like just sitting in your room by yourself? It's very difficult. It's just like, you don't realize how depleted you are until you're depleted. It's like a new mom in a way. All of a sudden you're like crying on the floor and you're like, oh my God, something's terribly wrong. You're like, yeah, you're tired. Yeah. And I think about like my success and I look at somebody like Britney and I'm like, dude, she never slept. Girl never slept. There's no way. I like just knowing how hard I was going, she had to tenfold be going that hard. So yeah, I mean, I think it was a different time for women and men, but yeah, it was different.
Thank God we're recognize that more as a society now, hopefully, thankfully. Fingers crossed. We are when they popped. So we always like to ask our guests, while we're talking about this era of your career, we want to know when you felt you popped. Like, was there a moment when you're like, holy shit, this song's on the radio? Or like, what was your moment?
The radio was cool. Yeah. It was when the video hit TRL. That was like, what? Like, you're in the top 10 of TRL. And I was like, that's it. Because I mean, for me at 5, it was Cyndi Lauper's music video on MTV. And that was the goal. Like, legitimately, that was the goal. So that moment that the video was on TRL was like, I did it. that was the I did it moment. But then it was like, I did it, now what? Like,
Right.
now what do we do? But yeah, that was the moment, I think.
Well, and then throughout the 2000s, you released a few more singles. I have to highlight A Toast to Men. That's like a favorite song of mine.
It's a good one. It
It
is.
is.
I mean, I don't know how to do it live in front of my son yet. So, no. But I feel like the audience will sing it for me and I'll just be like, earmuffs.
Oh
It's
my
so
God.
good. And my niece is in law school now, but her fraternity is just like playing it. She's like, that's my aunt. It's like so funny. She's like, I didn't realize like my aunt was so cool, but
You
she
have to show up at a formal and sing
it's
it.
really great. Well, she's in law school now, so like her Auburn days are over. So she just studies all the time. She never parties. But it is funny. That song was born from, I wasn't in college, but I went with my friends I would go like once in a while and visit them at college if I like had a day or two. And I went to, I think it was Gainesville. And like they were toasting and they're like, here's the men of love, here's the men. I was like, I'm sorry, what? Say that again.
It's a song.
And I'm like, that is a good song. So yeah, I went into the studio and I wrote the song. And then Lady May showed up and like a bottle of wine later, there were words about curvy dicks. And I was like, oh, we just did that. Okay, well, we
Yeah.
felt fearless, her and I. We were like, let's get them. Yes, this is so good, And it was like probably 15, 20 years early. I don't know if we're ready for that, It was like, are we actually talking about that? But it was fun. I love that song still. It was so fun.
Oh my God. Whenever I need like a morale boost, like a you're that bitch kind of boost, I
'Cause we
put
need
that
it.
song. Yeah,
Oh,
we
yeah.
do. We need it sometimes. But
Girl.
so you released that. We got a few other singles from you in the 2000s. You were on Dancing with the Stars. You were hosting, but it seemed at a certain point you were like transitioning away from music into other ventures. Like,
Yeah.
was this a conscious decision? How did this evolve?
It was kind of happened as it happened. And I don't think it was a conscious decision. I think it was a protection mechanism.
Ah,
And so I just knew that like I was pretty good on camera from what they told me. I could probably parlay this to being a host or even acting because I had done some on stage. And so my attorneys were like, hey, like if you want to do it, like you got to move to LA. And then I just moved to LA. And so I, at the time, didn't know why I didn't want to keep fighting for music, but I definitely kind of, I don't want to say I laid down and like just kind of quit, but I kind of did, I guess. I could have probably fought for it harder if I really wanted to, but I think, again, I was in the machine. So like if you didn't sell 500,000 copies out the gate with that second single, like, I don't know. So, I don't know that the label support was there at that point. I know, Jason was selling the Lava labels. It was all kind of going into Atlantic. And so there were just a lot of pieces that just, it wasn't going well. And I think at that point, there was nobody at Atlantic that had any skin in the game for me. I don't think Craig Common, I don't think he had any skin in the game for me. So it was like, let's just write it off. So again, I could have fought and had like management take me and go. And I think I was tired actually too, if I'm being frank. So I did go home to Florida at that time and just recalibrate, which was about the time my niece was born. So that was an interesting like wake up call too in life, so it was just interesting. Yeah.
well, it sounds like it was probably the best thing you could have done for yourself personally at that time.
Yeah. And I think, I'm so fortunate to have a family, mom and dad, still together, which is rare with all my compadres. I don't think that's the case for any of them. My mom and dad are still together. And my mom and dad always felt like my mental health was always going to be more important than the celebrity of it all. I mean, they were simple folk, meaning like, we really are. And so whatever had just occurred was just like this world that I was in. But at the end of the day, I came home and it was just, my dad was still a farmer. Like nobody quit their jobs. Like they weren't on payroll like most parents were. You know what I mean? Like they were still working. And then my mom came out with me for some time on the road though. And I credit them to being really smart about that. I think they had a team meeting. My mom, my dad, and my sister, who's 10 years older than me. So she was much older and also part of that conversation was like, I think mom needs to go with her. It was really smart. I did end up having my own trauma that is music business related, but I do think that my mom being around definitely kept the creeps at bay. That is something that I would never have realized at the time. I thought she was just driving me crazy. But I do know that I think she was just trying to protect me now, which it sounds about like my mom. It's amazing. But that's a big deal for her to have to like leave the house. And my dad, I mean, I don't even know the man can feed himself. He can't do laundry. I can tell you that. I just had to teach him the other day. I'm like, you don't know how to do laundry? But my grandmother fed him. I think he went to my grandmother's house every day. So, I mean, my family gave up a lot so that I think to protect me. Yeah.
Wow. What an incredible mother you have. And
Also, like my mom would be like sitting next to Busta Rhymes on the way to spring break. And that, she had like no clue. And my mom's like, oh, and she's just talking to him. And I'm like, oh my God.
it's huge that she was there as like your mom and not as an employee too. I feel like that makes
She never
a
got paid.
huge
So
difference.
she was kind of the tour manager, but nobody paid her.
An intern.
She was just
Yeah,
looking
she
out
was
for you.
We shared a room too. Like that's the other piece. Like here I am, Willa Ford. My mom didn't get a separate room. She was in the room with me. I like one time I kicked her out because I hate the TV while I'm trying to go to sleep and she wouldn't turn on and I kicked her, I locked her out. And we laugh about it now. It was not nice.
That's a tough time to be in close quarters with your mother. I feel like
Sometimes she had her own room. Sometimes she had her own room. Things grew.
Sure.
I got 2 hotel rooms at that point, but there was a time when my mom was in the same room with me.
Well, we really want to talk about your new music and what's next for you, but would also love to learn just quickly before doing that, like where your passion for interior design came from, because that was something you did when you were not doing music.
Yeah, so basically interior design, I just always grew up wanting to move everything around and do stuff. I found it very therapeutic to like do rooms and make them clean. I don't do well with a lot of clutter. It makes me pretty anxious, which when you have a messy husband and children, it's not the most conducive, but it really feeds my soul to make something beautiful, like a room. And so again, the room, a song, creating and leaving and something substantial, you can tangibly see it or hold it, I think is something that has to happen for me. I have to create a piece of art. And so I think that's why it parlayed for me. And then I was just doing it for free for friends and it was just costing me money. I was like, I don't know why I'm doing this. And then I actually, I went through a divorce and I was like, cool, like the acting business is in a lot of trouble, which by the way, I knew it was in trouble before everybody left. And I decided to create my firm. And so I created a business that would allow me to be in control of my financial life. And I wasn't going to make 20 grand the next year because I was on one show. I was like, you can't live like that. So I decided to do it. It's funny. I still speak to friends who are like scared to do something else because they feel like they've given up on their dream. And I'm like, no. I'm funding my dream. You're not listening, And so we have to be open to being hybrids because the creative arts don't always make money at this point, the way the world has constantly changed. I mean, I don't know. This record could make money. It might not make any. It might cost me money. I don't know. But I'm sharing a piece of art with the world. So it's not about the monetary means. And I can say that because I have another job. So yeah, I love interior design. It's very natural, very easy for me. I went back to UCLA extension program and took courses. And so I have that under my belt, which has also helped me to build our 2 homes. I've subbed both of our homes that we've done as well, which has been fun. But it's just another piece. And then they called me about that show and I'm like, sure. And it was just a bunch of boys. And I was like, holy cow, does anybody actually work around here? You guys are killing me. And I was like, it's really my job. Like, this isn't just a reality show, people. And so it was just funny. And at the end, the guys are like, why does it look like Willa and her team did all the work? And they're like, because they did.
They did.
Typical.
Yeah. And so it was quite funny. I mean, I got thrown with the wolves with 3 boys. I was like, I don't even know what to like do here. But it ended up being funny and working out and it was great. So I enjoyed doing it. And then, yeah, we moved up to San Francisco during COVID. Still no signs of me wanting to make a record at that point. And my firm's been very successful up here. We've done really well and we fly all over the country. So we have projects all over. And then I was being harassed by a friend who's a songwriter and is like, will you please, can we just? And I was like, you know what? I have a barn that I created into a guest house. Like, could be kind of fun. You guys want to come up and stay there and we could just like write. That's how it started.
So was this in 2023? This is when
I want to say that this is at the very end of 2022 that they first came out. And then there'll be like 6 months when I'm like, maybe we should try it again. And then there's a moment in 2023. Yeah, where I got the bug and I wanted to write more. Not because I was putting out a record, but because I really enjoyed the process of making songs and then hearing them and doing harmonies. And it all came flying back. There was nothing rusty about it. It was so easy. And I was like, oh, this is what I'm actually really good at. But I mean, I'm great at the other thing, but it was like, this is easy. This is so easy. And it just fills me in a different way. So yeah.
So would you say your new album, Amanda, that's really when it started taking shape back in 2023?
Yeah, well, Amanda wasn't even a thought to be released. It was just some songs that I was creating and probably going to pitch. And then December 28th, 2023 was my first seizure. And ambulance, the whole bit, lose my license, trying to figure out what it is with neurologist, head at Stanford, trying to figure it all out, comes up with this is what it is. We figure out what kind of seizures these are. And they were also correlating with like what would feel like flashbacks. And so understanding that my brain was trying to unlock a trauma that it had hidden away from me that was connected to music. And that created the seizures, which still exist. I still have them. And I don't know sometimes when they're going to happen or not, but I live with them. And I mom with them. I have 2 jobs with them. Like, it's not holding me back. So don't nobody feel bad for me. But that was when things changed dramatically. And we already had a session where Gustav was flying from Sweden. It would be the second time I would write with him. And I really enjoyed writing with him, like, unbelievably talented human. Probably one of the most talented people I've ever worked with in my entire life, if I'm just like saying it outright. He would laugh at that. But he was already showing up. I didn't want to cancel. I was already depressed enough about what was going on and not understanding how to like fix it. So that month of January, I had 40 seizures.
Oh,
in 1 month. And
God.
he flew in the end of January, beginning of February. So we went down to the studio and he's cranking a beat. And I'm like, I don't even know how to like write right now. And so I just start talking about the seizures and explaining them to Jonathan, who is my writing partner, and telling him, and Gustav says, let's write about it. And I'm like, okay. So I start telling him what it feels like. My seizures, I don't pass out. I'm completely coherent. So I know how it feels. I can feel my body like won't let go. That strain, it like hurts, And so I just start telling him everything about it and this and this. And what are the doctors? This is what the doctors are saying is happening to me. So by the next day we had written Disassociate. He worked on it all night. I came back down the next morning. He played it for me. And I looked at John and I said, we're putting out a record. We have to put out a record. Like, I have to reclaim my life. I have to reclaim music. If that's what's causing these seizures, it was unlocked because we started doing music. I got to fight through this. So I wrote right through the seizures. And so Disassociate was the reason that I decided to do a new record. And then I just kept going.
I mean, go ahead, Mary.
We're like, we have questions.
Yeah.
Has creating and writing music served as like a therapy?
Yes.
Wow.
So it's like the cause and...
So the root of the problem isn't actually music, but it's
Right.
the
Music just unlocked
association that person has with music for me. Unfortunately, the brain can't always decipher. And so music really just got thrown in with that, is how it's explained to me. And so whenever the brain would get close to trying to unlocking, so epilepsy is when the brain fires too much, like electrical goes crazy, right? Disassociation, which is like dissociating, is this. The brain unplugs and the body flails. So my body flails like uncontrollably and my mouth makes funny noises, but I am aware and I am coherent and I could do math if you asked me. It is so crazy. Even the ambulance that came for me the first day was like, she must be on something. She's like coming off of some sort of trip. And I kept telling them, I don't even drink. So like, I don't even drink alcohol for like 4 years. So even before these seizures, like I don't even drink. And they're talking about it in the ambulance and I'm looking at them going, I can hear everything you're saying. And they're like, what is going on? And they're like, focus on stopping your arm so they could put the IV in. I'm like, I can't. So long story short, yes, music and this is connected. So once I wrote Disassociate and I understood what had just happened, I'm like, wait a minute, I can use this. And so I sent it to I have like a special PNES therapist and I sent it to her. She's like, this is crazy that you could put it into words. Like that's a really big deal and keep going. And so then I kept going. And as memories were unlocking, I was always surprised by things. And then I would sometimes write about them, but most of it was me processing it and writing songs about processing it more than about the actual events. Yeah. So it has been a really crazy journey, but it just shows you that like everything that happens to you, even really, really bad, is used for good. So this record it's like divine that this record came out of me because I don't know how I got here. somebody knows how I got here, but I sure as heck didn't know how I got here. And again, like I still have the seizures. So I understand that the work's not done and I'm still on it. And the truth is they told me they could stop or not. And I could go 2 months without one. And then I had two in one day. So it's hard to say. I could be on stage and have one. I don't know. Every time I go on stage, it's like, I don't know. But I do think it's important for me to share this with people because I'm not going to let it stop me. And if it does happen, so be it. I need to take medication. Give me 20 minutes. I'll be right back on that stage. Watch me. So, I think there's like a resiliency born out of it. And we all have our crap and we all have health, and I always say this. I'm like, they say when you internalize trauma, it turns into something. People get cancer. People get, all these different things. I'm like, thank God it's not cancer. It's brain seizures. But by the way, they tell me they're not hurting me. I will be okay. Great. Carry on. I'm going to be a mom. I'm going to grow old. So I think, again, it's all perspective. And I've obviously had a lot of treatment to get to this perspective, which was so valuable in writing a record to help heal myself and then heal people. Hey, look what I've learned.
Right.
Let it go. Like find a place where your heart can soar again because literally it's just holding you down like a weight. And so the anger that I probably held inside and had no idea for so long, I mean, yikes. And especially it's very timely with what's happening right now in the world with women and this united feeling that we're all feeling and the like sisterhood and the bond that we're feeling of like just the trauma that has occurred in this country is crazy. And so I think it's no accident, the timing that I could put something out to try to help. I don't know.
Yeah. For everything this album represents, the empowerment, the resilience, the persistence that you just shared with us, why was it important for you to name it Amanda?
Easy. I was born Amanda. And then like the world had its way with me. And life is not fair. It's not supposed to be. We're not promised that, right? But we are promised that we'll never be alone. And I made it out the other side. And Amanda is just the rebirth of finding, myself and my worth and love again, I think. And so, yeah, it just makes sense. Also, those same wonderful humans that I talked about, my parents who named me that, are still by my side and here for this journey. And so I think Amanda Willa Ford on this record is also a bit of a thank you for everything and believing in me. And even when things did not go well, they've just been there. My parents are almost in their 80s. They're still like cracking away at it. They were at Hush Bar in New York City in the gay bar, just like giving it to them, So I've just been really lucky to have them because I'm not sure I'd get to the other side without them. Yeah.
I'm
so
like
special.
Cutting onions over here. Don't mind me.
You're like, I'm going to go call my mom after this.
Good.
Well, let's talk about some of your singles off of this album. Burn, Burn. Oh my God. I feel like we were starved for a bop and you came along. You performed it at the Abbey in LA, this one night only show. How did it feel to be back?
It was crazy. I was like, I don't know if you were going to show up. And then I was like, we're riding in a fire truck. I was like, what if nobody's there? This is going to be real embarrassing. But people were there. That's the good news. And it felt so good. I mean, it's funny because it wasn't supposed to be like a performance. Like they basically like pay your tracks and they just hand you a mic. Like that's how it was supposed to be. And like, I just like was feeling the feels and I just got up on the little platform and just performed. I don't know what happened, but they're like, you can just sit in the booth with the mic if you want. And then you get up. Now they're doing full shows there, which I think is awesome. It was so smart. I think it's a great venue for fun and to connect with your audience. So I love it. But yeah, Burn Burn was like the obvious first choice for single. I think, when you've been gone for 25 years, you need to reintroduce people to you, but not too far of a departure from what they know. And so Burn Burn was that perfect segue from Bad, which still had a very current sound to it randomly. And then Burn Burn that had a bit of a like nostalgic sound. So it worked, which then got us to Love for Life. So like all of them telling their story. Burn, burn, burn the lies. What's the lie here? One hit wonder. That's a lie. Yep. Burning that, right? So burning lies that people have told us, speaking to that gay community about you're not the enemy, right? And you're taught to be small. You're taught to be, no, we're burning all that down. Then we get to Love for Life. Claim your worth. You're worth it. Find somebody that's going to stick with you through the highs, the lows. Best friend, husband, I don't care what it is. You're worth it, and find that. So this is just a small journey into the record that, we're coming to, right? And so the third one is actually dropping on February 13th. And that's called Carousel, which you guys have heard, obviously, which I think is probably my favorite song on the record because it is so musical and so interesting. And if you are a musician, you're going to go, what the heck is this? It's so interesting in so many dynamic ways. And I think it's one of the best songs I've written because it's so different. And so that's about to hit. And then, then we have the whole record so people can just sort of go on the ride, which was quite the ride for me, people.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we were really stunned by the range on this album. There are bangers like Hammer and Money and One by One, which I think One by One is like tied for my favorite with Disassociate. But then you have these ballads like Safe With Me, and you tackle these really heavy subject matters with these more upbeat, like poppy beats, like even Disassociate. I'm like swaying to it, and then I'm listening to the lyrics, and I'm like, oh my God, this is like a devastating story that's unfolding. It's interesting to have sort of that dissonance.
You can't not move.
It's such a bop, but it tackles this deeply personal, and I found it still relatable, even though I may not know what you're going through. Like I could still find a piece of myself in that story too.
I think there's a lyric in that is very serving. And it's like, there's no pill that I can take. I have to fight it off with therapy. And I think that phrase alone is something that our culture needs to learn. Like, it's not in the booze, it's not in the pill that's going to numb it, but it's also, I'm all for medication help. I've had to have it through this. Yeah. But I also know that is not enough. You have to do the work. You have to do the therapy. So we are now a culture who says yes to therapy, right? And so I think that's where you can find yourself in it. This disorientation of where am I in my life? What's going on? The pain feels like a weight on my chest. I think that's pretty normal for most people. I think we're all kind of like going through that. So I do think it's relatable. And it's no accident. I mean, when we write this, we also want it to be relatable to multiple people. But the truth of the story is that is why it's written and what it's about. But yeah, there's a lot of range, Safe With Me. It's funny. That was like one that people were like, oh, are you going to do this a cappella? Are you going to put this on this record? And I'm like, yeah, because like, that's what I'm really good at. And I want to show people. And I'm building a looping machine to do this live. Like there's looping machines out there, but I'm working with people right now to try to do a very specific thing because I need it to condense down so I can have 20 tracks. That's not easy to do really quickly live. So I'm working on that, which will obviously make my live show very different than most pop. So you'll get the uppies and you'll get the fun, but you're also going to see me work musically, which I think will be really interesting for the first time. Because that didn't exist when I was out before. So even if I wanted to do it, I couldn't,
So, I mean, you're telling us that you're going to be doing shows, you're going to be on stage. I mean, we've seen hints of a tour. Can you give us a little teaser of what we can expect?
I mean, we're working on it.
Okay.
It's a work in progress. Schedule-wise, we're working on it. I'm trying to figure it out. Again, I have children as well. And so, but yeah, we've made some space. We're looking at it. We're working through it. We are pressing vinyls. And there will also most likely be a deluxe. I have done some pretty fun stuff, a cappella version of Burn Burn that's pretty insane. I literally just got that back. So we've got a really incredible version of strings of something very popular of mine that's going to be really cool. And there's just going to be some really interesting musical versions of the record that can just show the range in which I was trained. So I think that'll be really fun to express. And again, not something that a label would have probably ever allowed or wanted to do. It may have seemed frivolous to do anymore, but as an indie, it's something I can do. So I'm doing it.
Do you feel like because this was like indie also, you mentioned earlier, you have your own like career outside of music. Do you feel like you were able to take more risks and like do more without the constraints?
Oh yeah. Like again, what's the risk that I'm going to fail? Who cares? I thought I was dying. Like, do you know what I mean? Like I was I thought I was dying. And in that moment, I'm like, I don't care if people like it or don't like it. Right? Like I'm going to put it out. And the 5 people that want it and listen to it and it heals, fantastic. 1,000 people don't like it. I don't care. There's freeness in that. And there's a legacy to be left for my children. Like my mom battled. I always tell people, they're like, oh, are you going to come out? Are you going to speak out? Are you going to talk about it? No, because I don't want my children to read my trauma. Right? Mm-hmm. That is important to me. That is my choice. But I want my children to know that I went through things and I was resilient and this is what can come of that. So I think it's just leading by example with them too. So yeah, I don't care if 5 people like it and my children have a legacy of my great-grandchildren can hear me sing. Cool. I think that's awesome. And it's worth every penny to me to do this, if that's what it is.
People are going to love it way more than 5 people. We can test.
I mean, I hope so, but I'm just saying, like, when this was a thought, before I knew people even cared, I was prepared to not worry about that part. I just made music because it made my heart happy. And my husband reminds me that daily as we're going through all these things. And I'm like, oh, I think I need to go do this and that. He's like, I just want you to remember, you started making music again because, like, you're in control and you love it. Don't get too caught up in all of the other stuff, the minutia. Like, why do you want to do it? And I'm like, I want to share with people. And he's like, great, let's stick to it. So I do think he really helps too to balance me and remind me that, like, at the core of this, it's about the music. And so I already started writing again for the next record because that's where I heal. I think that's where I do my best work is in the studio. And then everything else is just to connect with the fans because that's so important, and to see them in person and to talk to them. Like, these shows are so nice now because it's like you can reach so many people and talk to them, and they can now really understand, like, why the record's Amanda, because, like, this is us talking face to face. Like, I would be at a coffee shop with you, like your friend, telling you my story, right? So I think the Willa Ford cloak has, like, been pulled back because I don't think back then there was enough accessibility to know much about me, or if people even wanted to know much about me except for what they saw. So now sharing is pretty awesome.
Well, we are so excited for you, so proud of you as an artist. And oh my God, the amount of times my eyes have welled up just from learning your story and hearing about how resilient you are and your desire to, like, share that with your fans and remind your fans that might be going through something similar, that, this is something that they can rely on, and, self-strength. Yeah. It's really powerful. And we just are so honored to have you on today. And we're just hopeful maybe you'll do a tour date in Florida or Boston.
Orange halter top and an ode to the I Want to Be Bad.
Oh my gosh, would you let me to bring my crimper?
Yes. Could we crimp?
I better see you both crimped, okay? Oh, no crimp.
Don't worry.
It's so funny because, like, just because I'm in high in design, it also translates to, like, clothing. So it's, like, so funny because, like, my aesthetic is very, like, right now I'm in a sweatshirt. Like, let's be honest. Like, and this thing's probably it's been through everything. But when I, like, go out, it's like I have a high-end aesthetic, and that's just, like, how I like it. So it's just funny to, like, see these looks before, and I was like, oh my God, Florida, what was wrong? Like, bless your heart. Bless your heart. And now it's, like, pretty awesome. My friend Melissa is just such a brilliant stylist, and just to have her on board and just doing these amazing fun looks. And then, like, going to these clubs, they just, like, you can wear anything. And they're like, just bring it, and the kids are calling it cunt. They're like, it's so cunt of you. And I'm like, I got in trouble for I called somebody in a magazine one. It's not nice. And it was like, I can't believe you said that word. And now kids are like, oh my God, that's so cunt.
It's a compliment.
It's the highest compliment.
That is where I'm like, okay, yep, I got in trouble for saying that. So I was either 25 years ahead or...
You've always been ahead of your time, Willa. You have always been ahead of your time.
I love it. Well, you guys are the cutest. You guys are so sweet. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm glad you've heard it. It's fun to talk to people that have heard it and get their take. I do think it's surprising, and that's the best part.
I cannot wait. Our listeners are going to freak the F out when they can hear it. Thank you, Willa, again for your time and sharing your stories with us. And we're just so happy to see you back on the scene.
Thank you. Seriously. Thank you. All right. When I come to your town, wherever you guys are going to be.
We'll be there.
Is Florida?
I usually go up to Tampa for all my concerts.
Oh, girl, I'm going to Tampa. You know that.
So I will be at your hometown show.
I will travel for it. I'm in Boston, Mass. It's cold here, so I'll travel to Florida if that's where you're going.
Go to Tampa. If I could live anywhere in the world, if I had a choice right now, I'd live in Tampa.
I get it. We're going to move there. That's our goal in the next year. So I feel you.
When you get there, my husband's foundation's there, FYI. I don't know if you've ever looked it up, but we have an awesome foundation there, and we do a lot of fun work. So if you're ever looking to do anything fun like that, we do a lot of stuff. So then you could come join us.
Would love that. Willa, cool. So nice to meet you. Thank you for your time.
That was our conversation with Willa frickin' Ford. Oh my God.
Willa.
Willa. Like, I just can't believe how amazing she is and how good this album is.
Oh, yeah.
I genuinely loved every single song, and the range, now knowing the story behind it and the trials and tribulations that she went through and how music was uncovering these things, but also helping her work through those things was just really powerful. And I hope you guys loved our conversation as much as we did. What a freaking icon. She was like the older sister that we all wanted, right? Like, no offense to my older sister. You were also fine, but like, she was so cool.
She was so cool. I nearly cried about 3 times, and the album has so much range. I was blown away by the range, and just her resilience was so much more than I realized. And what an incredible guest. What an incredible conversation. So grateful for her time. Like, can't wait to hit one of her shows. Can't wait.
Oh my God. I'm so happy that she's going on tour. These songs are so good. Like, I feel like I can see the vision in some of these clubs. Like, oh my God, the gays are going to go crazy. And so are the pop.
So are we.
Like, this is huge news for us all. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you to Willa Ford. I can't believe we get to say that. Thank you to Willa Ford for coming on When They Popped and sharing your stories with us. Make sure to DM us at When They Popped Pod. Let us know who you want to hear next, what interviews you want us to try to secure. And by us, I mean Mary. She hits the DMs pretty hard. And if you haven't already, please make sure to rate us all the stars that you can on all the platforms. Leave a nice comment and we'll read it on our pod. And if you haven't already, make sure to check out our Patreon. We have exclusive episodes that you'll only find there. We do at least 3 per month, and we're doing some really good 2000s TV show rewatches right now, including The OC and One Tree Hill. So you don't want to miss it. Thank you all so much again for listening. We so appreciate your support. Bye.
Bye.